taking all the grocery money you just gave
Let
me.
me show you what cocomelon.
So now you're mad at taking our grocery money.
Yep, I'm taking.
My husband sold $20,000 for me, and that was just one transaction. My name is Yesenia. I'm a domestic violence survivor, and today I'm going to be talking about all the financial abuse that I endured. If this is something that will trigger you, feel free to please skip this video. As many of you know, I got married at a very early age. I was 18 when I got married, and I had my first daughter 1 year after. In the beginning of the marriage, I was very aware that our financial situation was not going to be the greatest. I was barely starting college, and he was establishing himself in his career. I very quickly learned that he was very bad at managing money. He never knew how much was coming in or how much was going out. As time went on, it was very apparent that he couldn't keep a job. There was times where he was working for 5 months, sometimes for 8. For the most part, there was switches of jobs at least twice a year for him. Money was also a very hard topic because he would never give us any money for children's clothes, food, and it always had to come from me. The biggest problems was that he would create big issues and never take responsibility. He would crash vehicles, he would get in debt, he would loan people money that wouldn't pay us back, he'd gamble. Something else he would spend his money on was women. He would send women in his country money, large amounts of money, 600, 400, thousands of dollars, but he struggled to pay for diapers or even food for his children. The worst event happened a couple months before he abandoned his family. I realized that there was a large amount of money missing from the bank account. I investigated it and I found that he had sent $20,000 to his family in his home country. When I questioned him about it, he was very upset that I knew where the money went. He didn't tell me what he bought or what the money was for. I ended up contacting a family member back in his home country who told me that he bought animals, a house, and land because apparently he was planning to go there. It all happened a couple months before he left, and so a lot of people often ask me, like, when he left, how come you weren't able to take care of yourself if you were a professional, if you had a good job? This is why, because the man that I was living with sabotaged my finances in any way that he could. I think he just wanted to use me so that he can build a life in his home country. The reason I'm sharing my domestic violence story, yes, it's embarrassing and it's hard for me to share. I recently just came clean to my older sister about this because I was budgeting to buy beds for my daughters and she was questioning why. I'm sharing this because nobody deserves to go through this. We are valuable as women and nobody deserves to be abused.
Hi ladies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to this channel, my name is Miss Kafue. So ladies, by the way, I'm celebrating my birthday on 16th. I don't know what time this video is finding you, or maybe it has already passed, but please go and wish me a happy birthday. On this IG handle that's appearing on your screen right now, and I really appreciate. But then no one wishes me a happy birthday, and it really hurts me, baby. Maybe go and wish me a happy birthday so that I can feel nice. Just that. Anyway, ladies, today we're talking about financial abuse. Have you ever been financially abused? I believe every woman in one way or another has been financially abused or has come close to financial abuse. And today we are here to talk about that. So without further ado, you know how you do it over here. We don't like to talk too much during the introduction because we'll spoil the content. Let's jump right into this video and then I'll be back to give my take on it.
You guys seen the video of the stay-at-home mom asking if it's normal that her husband of, I think, 12 years controls all the finances, that she has to essentially ask before she spends any money at all, and that she has no access to any of the bank accounts because he works and she stays at home. The answer is no. It is obviously not normal. This video has made me realize is how often we don't talk about the number 2 most common form of abuse when it comes to stay-at-home mom or married women in general, and that is financial abuse. Financial abuse is not only dangerous, not only does it happen very often and more often than we can think, most people don't even know how it actually looks like, especially with the rise of the soft life era where women are supposed to essentially not know anything at all and their husband's supposed to take care of everything and they're just supposed to sit there and be essentially brainless. Financial abuse looks like restriction. You're not allowed to have your own bank account. Only he has a bank account. It also looks like surveillance. He checks all the receipts to make sure that you spent the exact amount he wanted you to spend on what he wanted you to spend it on. Like blocking. You are discouraged or even told you cannot work and make your own money for whatever reason it may be. As stay-at-home moms, it's typically because, well, you're not even going to make enough money to counter childcare or whatever the reason it is that they give. It looks like using money to control you or your movement moment, maybe telling you that, you know what, if you don't do this, then I'm going to stop paying the bills. If you don't do this, then I'm going to stop buying groceries. If you don't do this, I'm going to stop paying for something that you may like, maybe getting your nails done. These are all ways that financial abuse can show up. Sometimes it's all of this combined. Sometimes it's one of these or a couple of these combined. But financial abuse is abuse nonetheless, and it is not okay and it is not normal. And I hate that it's been normalized for so many women. I'm saying this again because I really grew up seeing this, especially in our African culture, where we are taught that a man is supposed to handle everything when it comes to finances, and us as women shouldn't even have access, shouldn't even know what he makes. It is so dangerous to put your entire financial future in the hands of just one person. There's a huge difference between transparency and secrecy when it comes to finances, and it is so important that you know where the finances are coming from and where they're going every single time.
One thing that a lot of women don't yet understand is that most women who are in relationships with men are being abused. Most women who are in relationships with men are being abused in some form or fashion. We all know abuse does not have to be fists in your face. A big one that women are dealing with today is financial abuse. 50-50 is abuse. Your boyfriend telling you that you have to have sex with him because he's your boyfriend, that is abuse. Your partner leaving a mess for you around the house even though you both work full-time and you take care of the kids, that's abuse. And a really sad fact is that a lot of women are still rushing to sign up for this abuse. Most women who are in romantic relationships with men are being abused in some form or fashion. Why? So your labor and your body can be exploited. But yeah, if you're still dating, just know.
Growing up and witnessing financial abuse has made being a stay-at-home mom like my worst nightmare. Literally. Imagine a man asks you to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom, and then anytime he gets mad, he calls you a broke B-word who don't help with the bills. Like, no. No. Or imagine he starts cheating on you and doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff, and because he knows you don't have no money to take care of the kids and you gotta stay, he keep on doing it. No. And I feel like the people who aspire to be a stay-at-home mom, either one, you guys have way too much trust in men and you guys don't fear men enough, or two, you guys have never truly seen financial abuse. But once you see it with your damn eyes, you will never aspire to be financially dependent on a man. I mean, that's literally my worst nightmare. I mean, I could scream just thinking about it. Hell no. I don't aspire to be a stay-at-home nothing. I must always have my money. Always, 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 always. Because when a man knows you literally can't leave because you literally don't have a coin without his okay, I promise you, he will start treating you different. And when financial stress is on a man, even the best man can start acting crazy. Please don't ever set yourself up like that. If you take anything from me, let this be one of the things you take from me.
You know what's worse than a man that doesn't provide? A man that takes your money. Teachers in Jordan, or like anyone who gets their salary, you get it once a month. It's not like here either weekly or bi-weekly, okay? On Thursday of the month, you get your salary. Everyone starts cheering. The minute the money lands, everyone's like, yeah, we got the money, and you could hear it. It's always like that in Jordan, okay? And this one lady asks my neighbor, she's like, what does it feel like getting money? And my neighbor's like, what do you mean? Like, you got the money? She's like, no, my husband, he has his card linked. So the money goes directly to his account. And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, I never see a cent of what I make. And he keeps all of it. I know that the reason why she works is because she needs to make ends meet, because without her salary, they're not going to make it. But oh my God, not 1 cent that you see after you worked, especially in Jordan. Okay, because working in Jordan is like slavery. America, we have it so easy and people don't really realize that. We do see, there are a lot of things here that are BS, like when it comes to taxes, health insurance. But could you imagine not getting a penny? Oh my God, I don't know what I would do. I would probably hate my parents for letting me marry this guy. I swear to God. life is not easy over there, but that does not mean that the money that the woman makes is yours, okay? And just so you guys know, money that female makes and she spends on the family is actually considered sadaqah. So just remember.
Where did money come from?
Well, you won't now. You won't now. And now you know why. Because you.
No, because you won't let me work.
You know, I'm really starting to understand that for some men who want these traditional stay-at-home wives, it's not about the love. It's not about the furthering of the family. It's about control. Because you will have this woman who is beautiful, who has devoted her life to you and the family, and you break her down. You strip her of everything that makes her her. You take away her joy, her happiness, and then you restrict her movement and her ability to succeed. I don't understand you can say you can love someone when you financially abuse them, you strip them of their independence, you break down their self-confidence, and then at the end of the day, you wonder why they don't want to sleep with you. Oh, and a lot of y'all talk about it's just cooking and clean. I cook and clean all the time. I don't like doing the shit. It's not hard work, and neither is a lot of y'all jobs. But it's monotonous work and it's mental stress. Also, especially when it comes to having kids. Some of y'all can't be around your kids for longer than an hour without you either blowing up her phone or telling her to come get them. The argument is not whether or not you at your job and what you do is important. It's about appreciating what the other person in your home and the other partner in your life is giving up so that you can achieve your dreams. Because guess what? If she leaves, all this cooking and cleaning, you're going to have to do that shit anyway and work. And if you think that she can't go out here and find a man that can replace the one thing that you pride yourself on, and that's a check, you got another thing coming. Appreciate her, or somebody else will.
Taking all the grocery money you just gave
Let
me.
me show you what Coco
So now you're mad at taking our grocery money.
So that right there is my husband. For some of y'all saying that I'm making it up and I'm not even probably married. I'm married. So that right there is an example, which is what I'm doing these little videos recently of narcissistic abuse, financial abuse. So normally when this does happen, when we get all the groceries and something will just make him upset. For the people saying, oh, maybe he has autism or something's triggering him. No, he doesn't have anything like medical like that. He's just what he is. He just likes to cause me stress and make my life hard, because that's how those type of people are. There's no reason for it. There's nothing is upsetting him. I don't upset him. He just does it just to do it. So in this particular reason, in this clip, I didn't put the first part of it in there because he said something to my son that was like kind of inappropriate, and I don't want to get this video taken down. But my son was like, "Stop it, Dad," and kind of like nudged him, and he didn't like that. And my husband didn't like the fact that he did that. So therefore, that's why he was taking the money out of my wallet so we couldn't get groceries. Again, all of this is just to spread awareness. And for everyone asking, yes, I'm still with this man. I have to do what I have to do at the moment. But when I leave, you guys will be the first to know, I promise.
Growing up with a single mom who came from absolutely nothing, and was abused her entire life, from a little girl all the way far into adulthood, and mainly by men, I've learned a lot of things. The first is, there's no such thing as being too nice. I always thought my mom was a little too nice, but it's not fair to put the blame on the victim. There's such thing as being too much of a fucking asshole and taking advantage of somebody who's super nice. I've also learned that real love is unconditional, no conditions. When I first came out to my mother, I was 24 years old and I was terrified, and I don't even know why, but that she wouldn't accept it. And I kept telling her, Mom, I have to tell you something, but it's really bad. And I remember crying and I couldn't even say the words. And she was like, you need to tell me right now. You're scaring me. What is it? And she kept saying, like, are you on drugs? Is there something wrong? And I finally said, you know what it is, because you know me. You're my mother. And it took her like 30 minutes. And she finally said, are you gay? And I was crying and I shook my head yes. And she said, don't you ever scare me like that again. I thought you were going to tell me something was wrong. And that changed my entire outlook on everything, but mainly myself and who I am. I've also learned to not judge people unless they're fucking assholes, because you never know what somebody's going through. I always feel like we're all just one day away from possibly being homeless, like the person you see on the corner of the street. What makes them so different? This isn't what they wanted in their life, and we don't know what happened to them or what they've gone through. My mother suffered from an addiction, and she lost her life to that addiction. I'm a recovering addict. I'll always be an addict. I've been sober now 5 years. You just never know what people are going through. And most of you who follow me are women, are moms, have been single moms, or are single moms now. And the amount of respect and love I have for you, there's actually no words, because each one of you are reflections of my own mother in some way. You're all heroes in my book. Every single one of you. In my opinion, and I've always felt this way, women are the superior gender.
Oh, buddy. You have not been paying attention to this story, so let's run through just a few signs of financial abuse. First of all, marital assets are anything acquired during our marriage, including his salary, including my salary. I didn't want to get married. He wanted to. I asked for a prenup. He wouldn't sign. I asked for a postnup. He wouldn't sign. At this time, I was the sole income earner. I owned a condo. He had zero income. He encouraged me to quit my job so that he could financially support me and our children. Once he made sure I was financially dependent upon him, he started hiding assets and withholding funds. Dissipation of marital assets includes many things, and also risky behavior with the money or being overly generous and giving away large sums of money to third parties. There is legal grounds to have restitution for wasting joint marital assets. Not only that, babes, but he also violated the financial restraining order that is pretty standard in my state. A financial restraining order protects you from your spouse doing crazy things with the money, or in my case, canceling all of the insurance. How was it financial abuse? This man was bringing in over $30,000 a month, and yet was forcing me to live on my part-time income and asking to borrow money from me because he was missing a paycheck or had to transfer money. His goal was to hurt me and the children. We can argue addiction, we can argue whatever you want, but there's absolutely no reason for someone making that kind of money to make sure that I can't buy fruit for the kids at the grocery store. He used the finances to control me and to hurt his own children. That is financial abuse.
This is just a good example of how ignorant people are to the reality of this type of abuse. When you enter an agreement with a spouse that you're going to stay home and take care of your children that you share together, that is always the agreement that happens in the beginning. And this abuse is slow and it's sneaky and it's insidious and it creeps up on you. They're not going to be like, okay, you stay home and then I'm going to treat you like absolute horrible shit when it comes to all things related to finances and money. People are so oblivious and ignorant to this type of abuse, and it just goes to show how easy it is for people to be victimized and actually be taken by this type of abusive partner, because of course you don't enter into it thinking this is going to be the case. Like, people have brains and they use them, and when you're in love with someone, like, you trust them. When you enter a marriage, you're supposed to be able to trust them. So I just felt like that needed to be said, because people just act like, why would you let yourself get into this?
I want to talk about financial abuse, especially in cases when you are not married. I've talked about this before on my page, but when you are married and have kids, if you are not earning your own income, there are laws in place that are going to protect you from financial abuse from your husband. Same laws, however, do not apply to you if you are just a girlfriend. It's probably one of the biggest reasons why it is so important to be legally married before you have children, especially if you plan on becoming a stay-at-home mom. Becoming a stay-at-home mom, relying only on your boyfriend for money is a big mistake. Because you are just a girlfriend, you are not entitled to any of the income that he is bringing. I'm not going to say that this is the case for everybody, but if you are just a girlfriend, chances are you are not on that bank account. Let me guess, your boyfriend is probably Zelling you or Venmoing you money to pay the bills. Also have to ask permission before spending money. Also have to ask permission to get extra spending money if you want. You also don't get a say in any of the big expenditures. That all sounds like you are a victim of financial abuse. You are a stay-at-home mom. You need to have your name on every single bank account, have access to every single dollar your man earns, be allowed and able to spend without asking permission. What I see happening so often, a mom who is just a girlfriend ends up getting dumped by the man, and guess what? Now she has nothing. So all that time and sacrifice that she made to be a stay-at-home mom was all null and void. If this is currently your relationship right now, you and your boyfriend, partner, whatever, you guys need to go have a serious conversation to make sure that you are a part of everything financial in your family.
If you're a single mother struggling financially to make revenue to take care of your children, take it from a single mother who has 2 children. I've been homeless, had a house fire, lost everything that I've had, and let me tell you how I came back. Social media is a way I did not know before. I had to get out the mud, so let me tell you the game on social media. When I say social media, I mean specifically for TikTok. I generated $200,000 in 3 months on here. On my page, I teach tons of free tips. It's no ebook. You don't have to pay for anything. All the information is there. On my lives, I give you guys more tips, whether it's TikTok shops. TikTok shops is how you make money in your sleep. You can go on live. People gift you on lives, but it takes a lot, especially building up your audience. Go in rooms or do trendy things. If you make a video about the election that's coming up or about anything that's trending, the Walmart Burkitts, social media drama, you're going to get more followers from that controversial. Stop going into this thinking your niche is going to be cleaning or stay-at-home mom. Let the platform tell you what your niche is you're going to look on your page and see what you have the most response to. And your videos, stop starting them with, hey, y'all. If you don't know if you're socially awkward behind the camera, go ahead and record your video and do voiceovers. The people that I see that make the most money with content on here, I've seen 90% of the time they do voiceovers on their videos. I do face-to-face camera. If you do that, you can use the teleprompter feature. When you go into record your video, right before you hit a filter, hit the little filter area and search in teleprompter. You can use that. There's so many tools that this TikTok has. Even people with millions of followers, they told me I really got my exposure and people started to catch my drift or know about me from TikTok because the algorithm, you can use it to your advantage. I cannot say this enough. Look on my page, go to my lives. I have 30 plus videos of free in the playlist of how to grow your audience. What you need is exposure. Stop getting your head and downing yourself because your family probably doubts you or people ain't helping. You need to put that energy into yourself. Do the work, which means posting every day. Do the work, which means having better hooks to captivate your audience. Try different niches. Don't get yourself stuck in one thing. And if it don't work the first time, keep going. Because even at 80, I've only had this account for 3 months. Even at 80-something thousand followers, I still sometimes get stuck because it's like my emotion slowing down. No, keep going because you never know when you're going to pop off and when you're going to have that viral moment, when you're going to make your first 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 100,000 from this platform. Speaking for myself, I never knew this was possible. I started a few months ago. So you keep going. As a single mother, look on my page, and if you need help, come on my live and say single mother, and I'll give you a quick rundown.
You never get to see the depths of patriarchy and misogyny until you become a single mother, not just any single mother, a successful one. The expectations for a single mother by societal standards is that she must struggle because she does not have a man, whether she chose that or not. Obviously, women are vulnerable, and when you have children, you become extra vulnerable because now you're enslaved in the system. Having children is anti-capitalist, and when you have children, you do not have time as you're looking after your children, and then so when you don't have time, now your finances are affected. When you're in a systemically vulnerable position, other people see you as prey, and this is not just the workplace, it's also your neighbors, your friends too. So then they don't think that they have to be careful and respectful towards you. For example, at the workplace, they think that you don't have any options because you have to feed your kids, so they'll continuously push your boundaries, thinking that you're going to abide because you can't leave. You don't have many options. Your friends realize that you don't have the same type of resources that you used to have. You don't have space and time to take care of them because you have to give that to your kids. So then less people are interested in being your friend. They'll come around, once they get some stuff from you, they'll leave because obviously what you were able to give them was wasn't enough for them. Dating is a market that was coined by a man because dating, romance, is capitalism. The men who are interested in dating single mothers are typically wounded men who want nurture, a man who wants to experience powergasm by dominating, bullying you and your kids because you're all vulnerable, or pedo men who want to have access to your kids. Then you need a loan, you want to get a mortgage or rent a place. Denied. Even when you have money, even when you have accomplishments, all of that carries less weight because you're a single mother and they doubt you. So then you become ultra successful. And that makes very little difference because now they have to put you in your place. They can't let you be patriarchy and prove that you and your kids are fine without a man. So when you look too comfortable, all sorts of people try to use you for your resources. Neighbors who come out of nowhere with some bullshit complaint to start things. Especially when you have boundaries and you stand up for yourself, your friends become like that too. People hate women, especially one without a man, especially one who thrives without one. If you want to date, you have to understand patriarchy and misogyny to the deep level. Otherwise, the system and people's unconscious and implicit biases become the invisible force that take you down. Join the Power in Romance Workshop Part 2, Finding the One in Patriarchy, so you can make informed decisions. See you there.
Husband who makes $250,000 a year refuses to give his stay-at-home mom wife any access to money. The wife in this scenario, named Angela, called into the Ramsey show to ask for advice on the way that her husband handles their finances. Angela shared that they've been married for 8 years and she's been a stay-at-home mom for 2 of those years. She's not on her husband's bank account. He gives her money for the bills each month, but it's barely enough and she's left with nothing. Ramsey's daughter, Rachel Cruz, was on the show that day and she asked Angela why her husband won't put her on the account, and Angela said that he doesn't want to give up control. She added that she can ask him for $20 to $50 at a time. Ramsey interjected and said that this was bothering Angela because it was wrong and that it's probably more toxic than she realizes. Cruz even likened it to financial abuse, and it certainly sounds like it. And it is all about control. A partner who chooses to abuse will control their partner's money and access to economic resources or their ability to provide for themselves through holding a job. Financial abuse is abuse, and it's found in 99% of all abusive relationships. And it often makes it difficult to leave the relationship. There are resources out there that can help. Recognizing financial abuse is the first step. Open communication, joint access to bank accounts, setting boundaries, and getting your ducks in a row so you have some cash available if you need to leave the situation are all important. Both partners should have access to money that enters a household. And if you don't, it's time to make a plan.
As a woman who's really into personal finance, one of the scariest professions a husband could be to me is a lawyer. Now, I know you're thinking, what is so shaking and quaking about a lawyer, right? Have you ever seen a woman go through a divorce from a man who is a lawyer? That man will make sure she loses. Will somehow make sure she loses and squeezes her out of her rights. Not every man who's a lawyer, of course. I'm just talking about the threat, even the threat of that. Him knowing the intricacies of the law. And if he doesn't know it himself because he's like a tax lawyer or something, he will have a classmate, a friend in the biz who can explain it to him step by step how to make sure he wins his divorce. That's what's scary to me. As a personal finance girly, that's what keeps me up at night. Just look up the Betty Broderick story, and that's literally my fear personified on a screen right there. It makes complete sense to me why so many lawyers are married to other lawyers. It's leveling the playing field, yeah. And yes, you're not supposed to be going into your relationship, your marriage, thinking like, what's my exit plan? What's my divorce plan or anything? But I'm just saying, be aware. There are things to think of. This is America after all.
My therapist told me a few months ago I was being economically abused. Economic abuse doesn't apply just to money. It applies to any sort of resource. That up to 99% of relationships include abuse, also include economic abuse in some form. It is a leading reason for why victims are unable to leave these relationships. So what are some examples? If somebody makes it difficult for you to go to school or maintain a job, that is actually a form of economic abuse. And they don't have to directly get in the way of you leaving the house to go to work or school. They can just create an environment that feels unsafe, that makes it feel like you're not able to devote yourself to your studies or to work. Somebody who has an emergency every time that you go to work. Or creates emotional tension if you pick up an extra shift or start to make more money than they do. who starts to slack off on things at home if you take on more responsibility. Somebody who talks you into investing monetarily or your time into a project or an idea, and then once you've already committed in a way that you can't back out from, they pull the rug out from underneath you. Last summer, my partner and I made these huge plans for a garden, and I put a lot of money into it, and the day after I got everything planted, they decided that they wanted to break up. And I was like, you literally just told me last night to go out and get all this stuff. And they were like, yeah, I know, it's really awful. This became a recurring theme in our relationship that I didn't pick up on until somebody else pointed it out to me. I believed them that it was just a coincidence. Somebody who's not fully transparent with you about where money you're investing into the relationship is going, or even just comments that undermine things that you're trying to do to gain resources for yourself. I shared a bit of my story where my partner talked to me about how they thought I should leave my job because I was very stressed out, which I was, and we made a plan together for me to do that. And so when I did quit my job, they quit the relationship shortly after, knowing that I didn't have any money to fall back on and I wouldn't be able to get on my feet or get myself housed or take care of anything. Somebody who hoards resources or controls or restricts your access to resources such as food, transportation, basic needs and supplies. I don't have a working vehicle, and the person who has told me that they would help me fix my vehicle has been dragging it out for weeks, leaving me basically stranded, which is preventing my ability to obtain any other kind of resources for myself, and has left me in a position a couple of times of having to wait on them to come in from out of town to bring me food from a food bank. Somebody can take out loans or credit cards in your name without you knowing about it, and somebody can control you by threatening your resources or threatening eviction over you. This plants the fear of God in most people because an eviction stays on your record for a really long time and doesn't only impact your future housing opportunities, but can also impact other things like child custody or even jobs that run background checks. Not to mention the trauma, degradation, and humiliation of being put into the court system, which is actually another form of economic abuse. Somebody who threatens or carries out frivolous legal pursuits against you. This happens a lot in situations where children are involved, and one of the parents uses the court system to financially ruin the other, forcing them to spend endless amounts of money on lawyers to answer countless motions. If you share a cell phone plan and somebody cuts you off from that cell phone without warning, if people normalize it and say, well, if you're on their plan, they can do what they want. Sure, they can. And making that unilateral decision without giving you time to prepare yourself and create an alternative that allows you to stay safe and connected is abuse. In fact, abuse is defined by somebody making unilateral decisions that affect another party without that party's input or any consideration for the impact upon them. There's a lot of way a person can withhold resources or hold resources over somebody's head in a one-sided way in order to get them to be compliant, or just to put the fear in them, to make them dependent. And that dependency makes for some sweet, sweet social attention, as I've talked about in my other videos about forced codependency. Economic abuse can be very hidden, and it's excruciating to go through. It can cause irreparable damage. The impact of economic abuse can be absolutely life-ruining. And although we all love a little bit of hopium, there's a lot of people who can never recover from the damage. Up to 60% of people in domestic violence situations end up losing at least one job. 65% of victims reported that the abuse happening at home was impacting their work, often leading to write-ups and disciplinary action. In the United States, over the course of a year, 8 million days of work are lost to domestic violence. And at least 100,000 people a year are asked to leave their jobs as a result of their victimization. And at least 50% of SA survivors end up losing or leaving their job in the year following their trauma. It can be all but impossible to extract yourself from a situation in which severe economic abuse is taking place. The ability to do so largely rests in the hands of people outside of the relationship. A victim very rarely has access to the types of resources and support they need to extract themselves, and that's even when they're reaching out to local shelters and other sort of social support safety nets. People have an inflated idea of just how much help is available and fail to understand just how saturated the network of resources is, especially in certain areas of the country. And there are hundreds of ways economic abuse can be carried out that look completely benign to somebody on the outside. And frankly, to somebody who's experiencing it as well, until they notice the pattern over a long enough period of time. And they will be gaslit and convinced that they are just seeing things that aren't there, or that they're misinterpreting completely innocent behavior. And as always, if you are disabled or have some other form of marginalization that creates economic barriers for you outside of a relationship, this can be even more devastating, potentially life-threatening. So next time you encounter a victim who's not leaving, please try to remember some of this.
So I recently made a post about how poor men will use your money to financially abuse you, and this is where it starts. When women work, they invest 90% of their income back into their families versus men who only invest 35% of their income back into theirs. And that tracks. I loved what Mel Hamlet said. She's the one who first drew my attention to this stat. And she was talking about how men will financially abuse through their hobbies, these super expensive hobbies, specialized running equipment or climbing equipment, fishing, all that sort of thing. Until I became friends with a marathoner, I had no idea how expensive of a hobby that is. I'm here to talk about the flip side about how men will use your own family to financially abuse you. First of all, just on its face, women make less. There is a huge gender pay gap. We don't have to go over it so much. And if you're spending 90% of your lesser salary, that means you're not getting the opportunity to save. You're the one the children are reliant on for all of their needs, while he's stacking cash. I've also noted that it is more common practice for women to put their money into a joint savings or a joint checking account. They'll put all of their money. Men will put a percentage, and women have been taught to feel disproportionate responsibility for the welfare of the family. So if the deal goes down, you feel like you have to save everything. The financial straits get a little tight. Women are now putting 100% of their money into the family, keeping nothing for themselves, and men continue to go on, spending lavishly on themselves or saving for themselves. And when they leave marriage, if they leave marriage, they do it with a firm foundation to start again, whereas divorce ends up impoverishing many women. A huge part of this is entitlement. I've noticed that a woman manages to get a nice new car or a nice house, and her significant other will take credit for it. Oh yes, I bought the house, I bought the car, and people will just automatically believe that because that is what we are used to. And it seems like a small thing. People are going to tell you, oh, don't embarrass him in public. Oh, you both contribute. It doesn't matter who did what. If it didn't matter, he wouldn't be trying to take credit. This is a way of discrediting you in the eyes of the family members so he can lay the foundation to financially abuse you. He's spreading a rumor that he is the provider, not you. So he's going to take your assets and then tell everybody else you don't have any assets. Spend your assets so you will not be able to escape him. It begins with things like him driving your car and claiming it as his own, or inviting a bunch of people over to the house that you bought and, showing off all that you have attained. And it ends with things like him spending your largesse on the family. You get a raise, now he's spending lavishly on gifts for the family, or, showing off for the family. And then when you say, hey, stop that, slow down, he's going to criticize you publicly. He's going to start by doing it privately and saying, oh, stop being so greedy. You make the money for us to enjoy. We're a family. We're a team. Oh, nobody should be having singular control over how the money is spent. Or their absolute favorite. Just because you make the money doesn't mean anything. Men are still the head of the household. So he's going to try to convince you that he should have financial control over your money. At the very least, it's your partner, so everything should be even Steven, and he should have equal access if you're not trying to emasculate him. And then once you give him equal access, he will spend the vast majority of your money. And now you've been put in a situation where you can't speak up, or if you do, a lot of people are not going to believe you because he's laid the foundation to make them believe it's his money. And why are you complaining? So now he's painted you as this harpy, and you'll be left without the very real financial access you need to leave him or to care for your children. The biggest problem a lot of women have after the fact is getting their financials untangled. We've seen this recorded 1 million times in pop culture, and we all know that life imitates art. Movies like Waiting to Exhale or The First Wives Club, where the woman looks in the joint checking account and he has absconded with all of the money, leaving her with pennies. And you have children to care for. That's another way men abuse you, but we'll talk about that another time. So yes, you have the day-to-dayness of children on your plate. So now you're just looking at survival. Whatever pennies he's left you with, you have to try to convert them into food, clothing, shelter. But we're solution-oriented around here. So I would say the first thing you need to do if you choose to be with men would be make sure you're dating someone who is at your level or above, and keep your finances entirely separate. If you want to have a joint account,
Have one for the bills only that you contribute to. Never put your direct deposit in that joint account. Do not commingle your assets. Always have plenty of savings, stocks, bonds, etc. that he has no access to. And if you're saying, I can't afford to do this, you cannot afford to be in that relationship. By being in a relationship where you will automatically be left financially unable to leave, you set yourself up for a bad outcome. It's just the truth. And a lot of women ask, it's a fair question, well, what's the difference between barely making it on my own and barely making it with a man? There's a huge difference. First of all, you know what you do with your money, okay? You know that even in the times that things have been lean, you have made all your bills, you have been as responsible as you could be, and there's no guarantee a partner is going to do that. We all know that men are quite irresponsible when it comes to money. A lot of women say, oh, he would never, but the stats show a lot of them will spend your limited resources on another woman, on toys, games, things like that. You cannot afford to look and feel like the big man. If you want to avoid that outcome, make sure you keep your money separate. And the second thing is, men, patriarchy was built for them, okay? So if you and a man are in the same position in life, he's a loser. Unless you're like Oprah or something. You know, you have had all these, think about what you've overcome as a woman to get where you are. And think about the fact that the man in your position has had none of that to contend with. He is a loser. One of my friends was 8.5 months pregnant with twins, took the bar, passed with flying colors, and she's a black woman, and there was a white man in the same circumstances who was just like, I can't take it anymore, and just left the bar exam. What a loser. Sir, you've been handed this opportunity on a silver platter. It was teed up for you. Nothing like, what hardship have you had? And here's a woman facing tremendous physiological and other issues to get to this point, and did it like it was nothing. This system already favors men, so don't you allow yourself to be taken advantage of in a way that favors them as well. Like and follow for more.
So ladies, I have a story to tell you. I remember back in campus, I had this friend who used to date a member of parliament, and hey, let me tell you, okay, this man drove a nice car, blah, blah. He showered her with some gifts here and there to love bomb her, and she fell for it. So actually the main problem we had with this relationship is that she started despising me and other friends that she had, calling us cheap, calling us, I don't know, but I didn't like it. Just because you got a rich boyfriend, it doesn't give you the right to despise other women. And you know what's crazy is that fast forward, like 2 to 3 years later, this lady had a child with this man, and she quickly realized she was the 4th baby mama. Like, oh my God. She knew she was the 2nd, but quickly realized there were other 2 that had conceived within that relationship of theirs, within like a 4-year period relationship of theirs. So let me tell you, anyway, that's not the point of this story. The point of this story is that she used to call me, oh, her child doesn't have clothes. I had to pack, like, my son was older by like an year or so. So I packed all the clothes that were not fitting him anymore and sent them to her through as a parcel. It was that bad. You see what? There's a day I went to visit her, and I could see the abuse firsthand. We used to take black tea without even milk. We used to remain hungry in the house. And then the worst thing is that this lady had his login password for a betting and a gambling account he had. And we will see every day that he has deposited $500, $1,000. Like, it was so bad, considering that even his child did not have even clothes. Like, her child was wearing my son's clothes. It's crazy. He had nothing nice, nothing new, nothing except like for the gifts people brought to her or something. So a lot of times she will call me, oh, assist me with this money, assist me, I buy food. So that guy will never give her money. In fact, like even a laptop, he will never empower her. This woman had the same credit problems like us other college women had. And it's so crazy. It was so crazy. Let me tell you, it's always these high earners, these rich boyfriends that will abuse you. Don't be the type of woman who gets excited because you have a rich man around you. That man will abuse you. Have viewers. You see that little of viewers, it will save you. It can help you even book an Uber. It can help you even survive on one meal that day. It can help you. Let me tell you, a lot of these men on another angle, if you're financially stable and you hold down everything, the moment you'll have like a down moment, that's the point when they'll financially abuse you. Tell me why. In my past relationship, by the way, I always, like, me personally, I'm very independent. And at that time, I was with a loser. You know how, as a 21-year-old, you cannot think so clearly. But hey, let me tell you, I was with a loser. So the moment this man got like a very simple job, and it was like in the Middle East, this is whereby people with no skills and people without hope in life go. So the moment she got that job, his family made sure that we broke up just because I will take all his money. And then this man made sure like he will never send money for upkeep for his son. He would only send like $20 whenever he would want me to unblock him or start a conversation or like get my attention, or like he will never do anything substantial like for your nervous system to just say, today I've rested on one thing. Like he never did any of that. Even if it was school fees, we argued. And I remember, by the way, I went to a certain school whereby my son was going to at that time. It was like a school daycare or something like that. And that lady, and I told that lady, you'll have to wait for 3 more days before the fee is deposited. Because, and then that lady asked me, you mean that man has started disturbing you and the child is this young? At that time, my son was 3 years old. That man will disturb you for life. Like, even a stranger could see it. It was so embarrassing. And he will always send, like, money that will not help you. And then he will be like, even you have a job, even you can provide, even you have a job. Like, let me tell you, most of these men who are like poor, who are like losers, they can't wait until the moment where you'll be down, which happens to everyone in life, to abuse you financially. And that was his undoing, because let me tell you, fast forward, I really hated him. Like that really was the last straw for me. And fast forward, he got deported. He's now in the up country surviving. I don't know. Oh my God. And fast forward, me, God has blessed me. Like, I'm not struggling. I can buy whatever I want right now, anytime. I can go wherever I want, anytime. You see, I can go into spaces that I once thought were out of reach. I can take my son anywhere. Like, it's a blessing, by the way. It's a blessing. Let me tell you, sometimes God does such things to remove such people out of your life and to expose the real them, not knowing that those people don't normally know that they're playing themselves, and you will get tired of them eventually. They'll tend to weaponize their small salary, their whatever, against you. And let me tell you, a man who convinces you to leave your job to take care of the family, that man, even if he promises to pay you a salary, that man, that is the first step of financial abuse. That salary is dependent on how he feels, not on work ethic or the work you've done or how you've shown up. It's dependent on his feelings. So one day he can wake up and decide, I'm not paying you. Plus, even if he pays you, the moment you get back to work, you'll be behind on the job market. You'll have lacked years of experience on your CV. If you can, please take a break, take a maternity leave, and then please go back to work. Go back to work. I know it's hard to leave those newborns, but for your own safety, for your own peace of mind, go back to work. Let me tell you, it's so dangerous to put your financial future upon another person while you're not even doing it with your own parents. Think about that. It's so dangerous. So ladies, I want you to open your eyes. Open your eyes. And I hate this thing of women saying, oh, when you're legally married to a man, it will protect you. I'm not arguing about that. But it will only financially protect you if he's rich. If he actually got something to split with you. Most of these men are poor. They don't have anything to split with you. In fact, they'll want to come for your assets, for everything you have or you have inherited. Think about that. So me, I'm not big on marriage, baby. I'm not big on it. I'm sorry, but I'm not big on it. Me, I'd rather even have kids. Me, I don't know, but that's my own reasoning. I'm sorry if you don't agree with that. I think everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But until I can prove a man has assets that he was also scared to lose, or he's hardworking, or like I'm very sure about this man's financial future, I cannot commit myself to marriage, because marriage is a business. Marriage is business. So why commit yourself? And then divorces are expensive. And then the man you marry is not the man you divorce. You can see right now the Cardi B Offset situation. You can see it. If Cardi B was not married to Offset, she will not be having all this drama. She will not have to pay that man a single cent. Let me tell you, as a woman, if you're successful, don't rush to get married because of society. Because don't even fear having kids if you want kids because that you're not married. No, have your own happiness. Let me tell you. Have your own happiness. Because let me tell you, the same society that's dragging you for not being married is the same society that will drag you for marrying a loser, for losing everything, for losing your assets. That man will drain you. That man will drain you. And mind you, he won't be the one staying with the kids. And I don't know how these men reason, because if it were me, even if I was a woman and we broke up, and the man is the one who was left with my children, I will provide for those children. It wouldn't matter what that man has done, I will provide for my children. I don't know how these men reason. It's like they always want you to struggle with those kids, to like give up, to like, I don't know, but it's so sad to see that a man does not even care about their own child. That is normally the last straw for a lot of women. If you know, you know. It's normally so draining to see that. Okay, it's one thing to not care about you, but it's a whole other thing to not care about the child you made together. Mind you, this child was not like a surprise child. This is a child you planned for months. You even tried for months. It's normally so sad. And a lot of men will drag you behind. Most of these men are very jealous. They don't want to see you elevating in life. They don't want to see you getting rich. They'll claim your assets as theirs. They'll make you like comply, like don't tell people like you're the one who does this and this. That is also financial abuse. And let me tell you, if maybe you're a woman who comes from maybe a traditional background, or a background whereby women in your family really talk to you, you've been told to have a secret bank account that your husband does not know about. Let me tell you. You see, right now, there's a case in my country whereby there was this woman called Betty Bio. I'll attach her picture here. And there was this, she was married to a pastor, a big pastor. And then she divorced him. She got a boyfriend. And it's coming out that the boyfriend is a kind of person who gets with women for their money. And then when she died on November 11th, like the money that was raised was like $53,000 or something like that, or $60,000, something like that. So not even 60,000. Is it 60? Yes, 60,000. So hey, let me tell you, which over here is 60 million. Well, so that man has refused with this woman's children. He won't give the children to the biological dad because of this money that was raised. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, it's crazy. Women, protect your assets, protect your finances. Don't get married to a loser, because he'll go to court, contest, take your wealth and throw your children out. Don't. I'd rather have my family eat that wealth. I'd rather have my own family. Can you imagine your in-laws eating your hard-earned money? That will make me roll in my grave. I'm not like, oh my God, oh my God. So unless, let me tell you, this thing of saying that, oh, because I have a ring, oh, I'm entitled to half of what? You live in an apartment, you have nothing. You have nothing to your name. Everything is mortgaged, like you have nothing. You're entitled to what exactly? What exactly? So I feel like that is only applicable to rich men. Rich men only. If a man is rich, he has assets, and pray that the assets are in his name and not like his mother's name or in a trust, then you have access. You can get half or a certain percentage of it. Be smart. Anyway, ladies, let me know what you think about this topic, and I'll be happy to engage with you in the comment section. Let me know your experience. Have you ever been financially abused? Let's talk. So please wish me a happy birthday. Yeah, go ahead and wish me a happy birthday. Yeah, on my Instagram at Miss Dot. Is it dot? Let me paste it here right here for you so that you can go and search it up and wish me a happy birthday. Anyway, have a nice day, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.